Hello, hello. How are you guys out there today? I think we're all set. Just making sure we've got some good connection here. Hello, welcome to Coffee Time Career Chat. If this is your first time joining, my name is Patricia Hayes. I'm an executive advisor, empowerment coach, and authentic networking strategist. And what that all means is I love working with people, especially women who are looking to level up in their personal and professional lives. And I help them do it in an empowered way, making sure that they are leveraging all of their resources, including one of your most valuable ones, which is your professional network. But you do so authentically and purposefully. So, welcome to Coffee Time. We are continuing our series on transitions, and I've been enjoying it. Do not forget that I will be doing a Q&A session at the end of the month. So whatever that last Monday is, I think it's Halloween, that we will do a Q&A to make up for having an extra month. So if you have any questions that have come up along the way, hit me up in the comments or in the DMs so that I can make sure to address them at the end of this series. I'm kind of excited about that. Okay. So that's the thing. Today, we are specifically talking about how transitions are about growth. And this is one of those things that's a little tough to acknowledge, that you're actually going to be growing through what could be a difficult time, but it is true. And on the other side of that dash or colon, whatever you want to put, is do the work. And it says do the work. And I'm like, I'm going to add a few extra words. Do the work to maximize your opportunities, because it does not matter if all these things are going on and you are not putting in the adequate or the appropriate work and effort in order to maximize everything that's going on around you. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And each time we've also been talking about an empowered action that is a part of that process, and this specific one. And today's empowered action is you have to do the internal reflection work that's required. I know, surprise, surprise, right? Here's the thing. Is part of doing the work and growing through and in a transition is first recognizing that the work that needs to be done most of the time is not external to you. It is actually within you, and acknowledging that and moving it through the process, because what's going on in here, in this head and this heart, all of this stuff is ultimately going to be even more powerful than anything that comes your way externally. You have to gear up and be ready. So you have to be willing to do that internal reflection work. Y'all know how strongly I feel about this, as it's a part of the training and the coaching that I do regularly anyways. So that said, here's the thing. Transitions can be tough. Most of the time, they probably are. Even a good transition, right? One that you initiated, one that you're excited about, has its own set of challenges, right? It has its own set of challenges that can make it, a little angsty and can be tough in its own way. Regardless of regardless of whether it's a transition you initiated or that was initiated for you, doesn't really matter. Here's the bottom line. All transitions can absolutely be enlightening to your forward path. Okay? Let me say that again. All transitions can be enlightening to your forward path. And when you think about that in those terms, that should shift a little bit of your mindset. It should shift your thinking and how you're approaching things to figure out, what is it about this that can help me to grow? How can I grow in this? Okay. So, the growth is going to be a part of the process, whether you want it to be or not. So you might as well make it a little bit easier on yourself. Hey, This is coming for me. I can be as stubborn as the next person when it comes to certain things. But there also becomes a time when you're like, you know what? Let me just chill out, take a step back. And this is where that reflection piece comes in. I'm like, what is it that I need to be open to right now that I'm not? That's really what we're talking about. When you ask yourself that question, that's the magic question, right? What is it that I can be open to right now that I'm not? I love that. Y'all know I like to take like little notes because you're going to hear this again. And when you do that, it will help you to address some other things. Because why shouldn't you be deliberate and intentional about the growth and use it to your advantage? You absolutely should. All right. So let's focus on being deliberate and intentional through the transition and the growth that comes along with it. And so we can maximize how we utilize it, right? So the first point that I really want to make is you have to identify those potential areas for growth personally and professionally. A lot of times when you're doing a transition professionally, like because of work or your business, all the effort gets focused on what is it you need to learn, professionally for the career, for the business. When in reality, it's got to be coupled with the personal growth. Because trust you me, there's going to be some personal growth attached to that. They're two sides of the same coin. Okay. So, and if you're lacking, it's going to show up later. So things could be going hunky dory and moving straight along. But if you've been neglecting some area or aspect of your personal life as it's attached to it, it's going to show up. Just the truth, just the reality of it. So why not just sit down and during this reflection time, handy dandy journal, and really start like being intentional and thinking through what is it during this time that are some things that I really could utilize some growth. Like I could learn, I need to learn some things, right? And when you put those in writing and you give some real thought to them, there are two things that happen. First of all, you automatically start being tuned in to things that are related to that, right? It's that same story about how they say, like, once you start looking for, let's say that you have a certain model car that you're thinking about, and all of a sudden that's all you see on the road, right? You're just tuned into it because you've been focused on it. So use that same type of strategy for yourself. When you identify those areas of growth, then you can become more tuned in to those opportunities, to those things that will help you to facilitate it. Okay. And the second part of that is that even when you're not, things will start coming, right? You will start attracting those people, those things that will help you in those areas of growth that you've identified. It is absolutely worth the effort. And sometimes, here's the other thing, don't try and rush it. We talked about transitions being a process already. So don't try and rush it, because once you acknowledge it, yes, and like, okay, where are some things? Am I having some resistance to some of this? What is that about? Being very aware, okay? This is a process where you're really going to start learning how to be much more self-aware and incorporating that into the things that you're doing as you move forward. Okay. The second point is you want to gather your support tools, your resources, and your people. Again, something to be very deliberate. If you know that you're going through this transition, you're about to go into a transition, and that you want to accomplish certain things, and that there are areas that you need to grow, you then need to identify the people, the tools, and the resources that you're going to need to support that growth. Be honest here, okay? Everything is not hunky-dory. Even if you are moving forward in a very great transition, it's a great thing. Like, there's always going to be something that you need at the next level, okay? So this is the time to give some serious thought to that, to figure out what it is and gather those support tools, gather those resources, gather those people. Again, this is going to happen along the way. This is not a one and done thing. This is going to happen all along the process, because as you continue to grow, as you continue to move forward along your path, what's going to happen is, seemingly out of the blue, you're suddenly going to have this perfect person, this perfect resource show up. You're going to be like, where did that come from, right? I've had way too many of those experiences. I know it to be true, and it happens all the time. So make yourself available to it. Again, by putting yourself out there, by asking questions, by identifying those resources, those tools, whatever it is that's going to help you in those growth areas that you've identified. And then the last thing that I want to toss out there is that you have to dig deep and keep going. Because here's the reality. Once you get going on some of this, there's going to be some resistance. I mean, it's just the way it is, right? You're going to have moments where you're going to be like, no, I don't want to be bothered with that. Or why is that showing up? That's ridiculous. Whatever. Like, you're going to reject some things that show up as an area of growth. You're not going to want to pursue some of those resources or talk to some of those people that come up along the way, whether it's out of fear, whether it's out of intimidation, whether it's a confidence issue. It doesn't matter. Like, there's tons of reasons why. But the point is that in reality, you're going to want to dig deep. So this is continuing that reflection internally all along the way, and keep going. Do not stop. Do not give up. Do not give up. It is way easier, right, to give up and like, yeah, I don't need to be bothered with that, it's going to be fine, than to keep going. And when I talk about that pushing, it's not in a what's the word? It's not in that angsty, but it's the whole, here's what I need to do today so that I can make it one more day, so I can take one more step towards the big picture goal. Okay. It's not a hustle mentality. That's the word I was looking for. It's not in that hustle mentality way. We don't preach hustle mentality here, but we do recognize urgency. And when there's a need to move forward in something in a timely manner. All right. So urgency and hustle are not the same, right? Don't get those twisted. Something can be urgent and you need to address it without having to rev up all of this negative energy in order to get to that next level. We're not doing it that way. All right. And so be mindful of those things. Be mindful of when you are like on the cusp of feeling like, why am I bothering with this? Then it's probably you're right in the middle of a really good growth spurt. As we say, when kids are doing all kinds of things and you're in the midst of your growth spurt. I love that. And what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? Okay. Keep going. Don't stop. Level up with what you learn. That is so important. To take those things, take those experiences, take those conversations, take those, whatever you've been reading, the people, the conversations, all of that, pull it together and be like, okay, what does this mean for me moving forward as I am looking to level up in my career, in my business? Okay. When you do that, like that is when you are embracing the growth, even when it's tough, even when it's uncomfortable. But that embracing, taking that effort, taking that action is so powerful. And guess what? You will build momentum that you don't even recognize. You'll start building this momentum in your growth. And next thing you know, there will be some things that'll start popping off and helping you. Okay. So don't sell yourself short. All that to say, don't sell yourself short. Do the work Why? To maximize your opportunities. When you embrace that growth, you do the reflection work, you ask the questions, you put yourself out there, you are now putting yourself in position to maximize the opportunities that are absolutely going to be coming your way. It just happens, y'all. Even in those times when you seem like this transition has been going on forever, trust you me, I have had those experiences when I'm like, when is this going to be over? Okay. And you have those moments of doubt, and you're like, why am I going to be bothered with this? And honestly, when I'm at that point, there's always someone or something that shows up. And I know because I've matured in that way, and I just start laughing because I'm like, oh my God, really? Right? You want to get to that level where you recognize immediately when something's showing up in your space that's a part of your growth, and you know it's there to support you in that. Okay. So do that work, be willing, reach out. Happy to get on the phone with you to do a free consult if that's something that you need, or to identify some other things that you might need to do or look for, right? There are tons of people who are out there to help you and to support you. You just need to be willing and able to engage in that level of thinking, dig deep, and recognize, okay, I gotta grow myself. I gotta help with this growth spurt. I gotta feed, right? You gotta water the plants, you gotta water yourself with all of those great things that will help you to grow. Don't stunt your own growth. Oh my gosh. How many times could I say that? Do not stunt your own growth, especially during a transition. You will be really upset about that later. We talked a little bit about that last time. Okay, so happy to be here. Happy to continue this conversation. We have another one. Yes, I believe. Let's see. What are we talking about next time? Next time in transition, we are talking about how transitions are full of opportunities and how you want to leverage the time and the resources. Fun stuff. Love that. All right. So here we are. Think about where you are in that growth. Take that empowered action of digging deep, doing the reflection work that's required internally for you to grow to the next level. And tell me about it. Tell me where you're struggling in that. I want to hear some of your input so that I can incorporate that into what we're working on now and some of those great things in the future. Okay. We have started a challenge this week. So reach out, check out on all the social, the information and the content for the Walk in Your Strength Challenge, which is going on this week. And if you want a little bit of extra, then sign up on the email. It is a free challenge. Sign up on the email so that you can get the Instagram lives and access to those things as well. Okay. Have a fantastic week, everyone. And I will talk with you later. Bye-bye.